Welcome back, gang. This is part 3 of our Chapter 6 lecture series. This one entitled Defining Economic Freedom. The focus question for this section is, how did the definition of economic freedom change after the Revolution, and who benefited from the changes? After the Revolution, the decline of unfree labor for white men, like indentured servitude, a process that had been underway for the several decades prior to the American Revolution, was gradually becoming more and more replaced by wage labor. Many believed that a republic could not survive with a large number of dependent citizens who, being subject to the power and influence of superior and independent men, could be corrupted by that influence. Now, this transition sharpened the distinction between freedom and slavery, and between a northern economy based on free labor versus a southern economy based on slavery. Most people in America at the time hoped that every member of society could eventually acquire land, that foundation for the economic freedom and independence many thought necessary for a functional republic. And by acquiring that land, they hoped to avoid the unequal social classes of pre-revolutionary society. To most Americans, equality meant equal opportunity, not equal condition. A very important distinction. The first economic crises experienced by the young United States was the issue of inflation. Now, to finance the American Revolution, Congress had issued massive amounts of paper money that was not backed by any hard form of currency such as gold and silver. As a result, inflation rapidly increased, which devalued that currency to a great deal. And coinciding with that, prices increased dramatically. Now, this was the cause of some of the first protests and riots in American society shortly after the Revolution, and began to call into question exactly the government's role in economic affairs in America. The inflation crisis underscored the rising debate over issues of free trade in American society. The crisis led Congress to urge states to fix wages and prices in hopes of preventing future economic and social unrest that had been unleashed by the inflation crisis. Now, this was opposed by merchants who advocated for policies of free trade that stemmed from the work of Adam Smith and his Wealth of Nations, which was published around the same time as the ending of the American Revolution, which highlighted his ideas of the invisible hand of supply and demand that naturally regulated economic affairs, and his ideas that the government really had no place or no business directly trying to manipulate economic issues. This led to two competing conceptions of economic freedom in American society. One conception that government should promote the public good and regulate economic activity, and the other conception stemming from Adam Smith's work and his idea of the invisible hand, that prosperity flowed from economic self-interest and government should stay out of it. These two competing conceptions have been with American society from the very beginning at this time, and are still debated to this very day, with no clear resolution in sight, but with mostly compromises between both positions to meet some sort of middle ground in between the ideas of government regulation and laissez-faire economic freedom. Concludes part 3 of our Chapter 6 lecture series. A very quick one, I know, but I hope you still got a lot out of it. As usual, study hard, and I'll see you soon.